it is what the hell is going on with Brooklyn Mirage? We may be running out of time here, but you'll have to just go with me on this. Say again, Dave?
Didn't they just open?
Well, I'll wait till I fill you in on
it.
Okay,
you go for it.
So let me be the first to just load this up, because we're gonna go back in time a little bit, and then I'm gonna load up a whole load of links here, because there's quite a lot to get through. So just whilst I'm at it, I'm just gonna load some of these articles up, because there's quite a lot to load. So because I've had to do a bit of a timeline here, because oh man, there's a lot of stuff. Right, here we go. So let's just get some of these up. So let's start from right from beginning. So let me just get this shared with you. So you may remember this from I think it was either our first episode or the second episode, but you may remember clip this footage. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Right. So let me just read off the top for those who may not be aware of what we're seeing here. So, what is going on with Brooklyn Mirage? Now, originally back in episode 4, the Changing Faces podcast reported that the Brooklyn Mirage was undergoing a huge refurbishment. So to recap, Brooklyn New Mirage Club undergoes fabulous refit. And this is courtesy of Groove_Cartel, saying, celebrating their 10th anniversary, the Brooklyn Mirage has undergone an incredible refit of their dance floor and stage with some pretty impressive installations. In what's included in the works was, quote, a hyper-realistic 270 degrees virtual environment with a combined 30K resolution, 100 million pixels over 3,000 tiles, enclosed in the world's first fully kinetic shutter system of this scale. A 90-foot wide performance area with an industry-leading £400,000 roof rigging capacity, empowering artists to deliver their most visionary performances. New viewing areas reimagined as opera-style mezzanine lodges. Custom L acoustics sound system featuring over 100 precision calibrated speakers and subwoofers for an unparalleled sonic experience no matter where guests are in the space. End quote. So there you go. So we're hearing a little bit of that. Really cool sounding and so on and so on. And then, of course, what happened after that was the next bit of news was this. God, I'm struggling to keep up with myself here. So then there was a report again, courtesy from the Groove_Cartel on Instagram, basically saying that the May 2nd. This was reported, sorry, on May 2nd. Groove Cartel saying here, quote, New Brooklyn Mirage won't open this weekend. Unfortunately, due to strict New York City regulations, the club is working with the city officials for all the requirements and compliance. There's not an official date for the opening, but TBM, Brooklyn Mirage, has promised full transparency. What do you think? And then a few people in the comments sort of saying, more VIP is not what we were looking for. And so on, but I'll just quickly move on from that, because there was a bit more extra context that meets the eye. So the next bit we now move on to after that was this report that followed. So following from that, there was also this extra bit to do with when they cancelled Sarah Landry's party at the Brooklyn Mirage. So this report here just basically says gives a bit of a backstory to the context into the cancellation of Sarah Landry's party. This is a quote from Billboard, courtesy of We Review on Instagram, with the quote saying, less than an hour after delivering this news to Landry's team, Mirage posted an announcement explaining the situation to its hundreds of thousands of social media followers. The update was especially head-spinning for Landry's team, given that they'd had dinner with the Mirage operators the night prior, and no one had mentioned there might be an issue. Sarah Landry then says to Billboard, quote, there was never going to be an option where I sat in my hotel room without doing anything, knowing that thousands of people spend money in this economy to buy tickets and fly in. So essentially, the end of that story was they managed to find another venue to do this party, but it was not at the Brooklyn, Mirage. Yeah. So there's that went on. Then there was this that was reported. Let me just check that I'm following my own timeline here. So this is from the Gothamist, courtesy of Hannah Frischberg, who wrote this. Brooklyn Mirage, supposed to open over a month ago. Fans are frustrated. So article reading here, quote, from Hannah Frischberg. East Williamsburg venue, the Brooklyn Mirage, remains closed over a month after it was slated to reopen, leaving fans and artists exasperated. The sprawling indoor-outdoor show space within the Avant-Garde complex was closed for months as it underwent renovations to enhance its sound systems and expand its dance floor. It was expected to open May 1st. However, after failing to meet a final inspection from the city officials, the venue, which will have a 6,250 person capacity once it reopens, has remained closed. And CEO Josh Wyatt left the company late last month after less than 9 months in the role. The news has left fans disappointed and angry, and it comes at the start of the summer concert season, the busiest time in the city's music calendar. At least 17 artists have announced that they are cancelling or rescheduling their shows, many of which had sold out the Mirage. Many artists say they are scrambling to find new spaces to play. The venue is one of Brooklyn's biggest and offers a capacity that cannot easily be moved elsewhere. This is just more referring to Sarah Landry's cancelled event, but it even says here, quote, we're incredibly disappointed not to bring you the show we had originally planned, and that was record label Anjuna Beats wrote in an apology to fans after moving its Anjuna NYC takeover from the Mirage to 3 different venues. Some fans say they saw this coming. I'm not surprised at all. Quote from said by Flavia Di Bartolo, who has been attending shows on the Mirage since it's opened in 2017, with furthermore, quote, it's really upsetting to see your favorite artists having to scramble looking for venues to play at, especially when they were completely sold out at Brooklyn Mirage. The venue did not return emails and phone call requests for comment. Its most recent statement posted to Brooklyn Mirage Instagram account on May 20th announced that all Memorial Day weekend shows had been moved to dates in July and August. It also went on to say, quote, although the Brooklyn Mirage is opening later than anticipated, we are making great progress towards opening our doors, the post said. We take responsibility for the delay and are working diligently with the city of New York to make sure that we meet all regulations and requirements so that we can deliver a safe and unforgettable experience for everyone. So, if you follow me here, Dave, there's a bit more, because if you can imagine this, so there's a bit more to come. So the next bit, right? So in this timeline, they're still working on it, and so on. So where do we go from here? So the drama doesn't end. So we're going to move on to this next bit now from this story. So the next thing we find out, Avant-Garde has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, as per Bloomberg. Avant-Garde's parent company, AGDP Holding, filed for Chapter 11 with around $153.3 million in funded debt obligations, according to court filings. Gary Richards, Avant-Garde's CEO as of May, cited, quote, significant liquidity crisis, as well as, quote, increasingly aggressive collection activities from financiers and contractors. Avant-Garde had taken on additional financing in recent months to complete the renovation of Brooklyn Mirage, with certain financing deals now subject to dispute. Avant-Garde's key lender will provide around $45.8 million in debtor in possession financing, which we will use in part to bid for Avant-Garde's assets. Avant-Garde will hold a competitive auction for the assets while maintaining normal operations for the time being. And it further, this is a courtesy of Dancing Astro or Dancing Astronaut. It furthermore states here, Avant-Garde has issued an official statement. The decision to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy relief follows several months of financial distress, culminating with Avant-Garde being unable to open its newly constructed Mirage event space for the 2025 season. Right, so if you follow me here, there's more. Believe it or not, there is more. So,
Jeez.
what is the latest news? Well, actually, no. Let me just quickly show you this one as well. So, following on from that, the end of that post, as you saw, was that them trying to maintain the space just whilst they go through Chapter 11 bankruptcy. However, a few weeks ago, courtesy of Dancing Astronaut, saying here, quote, drum code show for Avant-Garde or at Avant-Garde on Friday has been cancelled. Quote, or drum code's New York update says in the picture here, quote, we are devastated to share the news that we were informed today that our show at Avant-Garde this Friday, August 29th, has been cancelled. This comes despite weeks of assurances from the venue that everything was under control as they filed for bankruptcy, and that the event would proceed as planned. This news is a complete shock to us, and we share in your disappointment. For all ticket-related matters, please contact Avant-Garde directly. We have made it clear to them that we expect to see every ticket holder refunded automatically. We are heartbroken that we cannot be together this Friday, and we will do everything we can to be as transparent in this process as we can. Thank you for your understanding and support. So that what happened as well. And as the post suggests, they also were left slightly in the dark by that as well. And would you believe it gets crazier? Let me just quickly find the article. There's actually two, but I'm just gonna link to. Is it this? Oh no, it was. Is it this one? Hang on. Yeah, it's this one. So obviously, they've filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Shows are still being cancelled. Here's the crescendo. Brooklyn Mirage reportedly files permit to demolish part of the venue. Courtesy of Hassie Linder of Resident Advisor. As per the Real Deal, the application is for a full demolition of the 32,000 square feet. Hassie Linder reports, quote, the owners of Brooklyn Mirage has filed for a permit to demolish a portion of the venue. The Real Deal reports, according to the publication, the application is for a full demolition of an area of 32,000 square feet. The larger Avant-Garde complex, the East Williamsburg venue, is part of spans roughly 80,000 square feet. Costs are reported estimated at $1.5 million. Resident Advisor has reached out to representatives from Avant-Garde for comment. The report filing arrives after a turbulent few months of Brooklyn Mirage, and it just goes into a few things about
oh my God,
all the things that we've spoken about. However, there's more, would you believe? So I've got a bit more extra. So I've got a bit more extra context here.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks to the Gothamist and who wrote this. So this is by Ryan Caleth. So really good article on this, actually. Really, same with Hassie Linder, to be honest with you. But this says here as well, quote, Brooklyn Mirage files for full demolition after months of uncertainty. Ryan Caleth writes, quote, the owners of the troubled East Williamsburg mega venue, Avant-Garde, has filed permits for a full demolition of the Brooklyn Mirage, its seasonal outdoor stage. According to records filed with the city's Department of Buildings on October 10th and first reported by The Real Deal, the owners are seeking to tear down 32,000 square feet of temporary structures at Avant-Garde, where the Brooklyn Mirage has remained shuttered since 2024, following the last-minute cancellation of its 2025 season due to permitting issues. The demolition application comes 2 months after Avant-Garde filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, citing as much as $500 million in liabilities and less than $100 million in assets. Two smaller venues on the site, the Great Hall and the King's Hall, remain open. The Brooklyn Mirage, known for its open-air dance floor and large-scale electronic music shows, faced mounting scrutiny in recent years over safety issues, including what regulators described as rampant drug use and multiple overdose deaths. Two concertgoers were also found dead in Newton Creek after attending events in Mirage in 2023. The company owes money to artists, production companies, and contractors. One of the largest is a construction firm called Heine, which builds outdoor stages, including those at Summer Stage and at Pier 17. Court filings show the company is wholly owned by Jürgen Billy Bildstein. No timeline was listed in the demolition permit, and it remains unclear whether the filing signals a permanent end for Brooklyn Mirage or a potential redevelopment of the site. I'm going to stop sharing this one because
God.
Wait. I'm just going to quickly show you this. So this kind of gives you a bit of context, and for those who have never been there, this is what it looks like, or what it did look like.
Yeah,
big outdoor area. So Dave Collins, we've only got 50 minutes to talk about this, but how do you unpack all of
There's
that?
quite a lot of information, right?
Unpack that for me.
I've got a theory on what might happen. I think there was something structurally wrong with that space that didn't meet compliance, and that's the reason. It even said at the beginning, didn't the council or something like that, or the New York equivalent, was basically saying they couldn't let it open. And the reason I think that is because a place like this, when you have to demolish a place, it implies that you can't sell it at rock bottom prices. Like there's something fundamentally wrong with the building, so bad that it has to be demolished. And so that's my theory. You could flip that for peanuts and still make it, and it will cost you less than demolition's really expensive. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
The only reason the only reason they demolish it is because like they literally can't use the space, and maybe they got an obligation to demolish it from the council or something. But nah, that's just a theory, and there's so much going on here, it's nuts. Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
How do you unpack that idea? The fact that we heard news that it was going to be refurbed, then they start cancelling all the shows. And
well, it makes sense.
Some of them last minute, on the day.
But it's we'll refurb it, and then they find out that no, we can't refurb it because this place is literally crumbling apart somehow. Right? Maybe the floor is there's a sinkhole under it or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know these things, and so the refurb can't go ahead. The shows can't go ahead. The building company building the stage is well, where's our money? And they're like, oh, we'll pay you once it's finished. And I'm like, where? But we can't finish because you told the building's unsafe. Do you know what I mean? It all lines up to an unsafe building, in my opinion. But it doesn't look unsafe on that picture, so I don't know. But the fact it's getting demolished was what shocked me. I thought, man, someone's going to pick this up for dirt cheap, aren't they? But no, it's just getting knocked down. Weird, so weird.
It's all of this.
There's two other spaces they own. Yeah, there's two other spaces that are still open.
Yeah.
What? Surely, if you were bankrupt, you'd sell all of it, not keep two open and knock one down. It makes no sense, man.
So, as far as I can kind of understand it, you know how the setup is at Uno Village where they've got different clubs? I think it's a little like that. So basically the open air area, what you're seeing here is Brooklyn Mirage, but then they've got two indoor small venues called King's Hall and Great Hall.
Right.
Those in New York, you might want to correct me on that, but that's how I've understood it. Now, you've got a very good point, because obviously in order for them to open and remain doing business, you've got to pass some of these very basic health and safety hoops, so to speak. You got to jump through them, and you got to, but I guess one of the things that I find quite remarkable is, in regards to whatever issues they are having, the fact is, I find is that it's an open air courtyard, so like I wouldn't think there'd be that much fire um issues here. Obviously, you've got an issue here where you are drawing in
Yeah,
thousands
I
of
don't know.
people, and if in the event you need to evacuate, you need a lot and very, very clear, distinct fire exits with fire doors. However, like maybe they don't have that. I have no idea, but like I'm assuming that would be one thing that would be a huge risk for mass people in that area. Um, and of course, combustible items as well. So, for example, I don't know whether the cladding on those walls is combustible, but that could be another thing. So that would help fire spread, and pyrotechnics that are there. There's palm trees there, which is also, it's combustible. So like I think from a fire safety point of view, perhaps there is issues there, but yeah, like what it really bundles down to is what could have possibly been the issue to say, actually, regardless of what refurb you want to do to this place, this is not going
It's
to, like, it's
it's
too
wild
dangerous.
though. I mean, looking at, I remember in Manchester, there's one venue I went to a handful of times called the Antwerp Mansion. And I
Hmm.
don't think it's there anymore. But that place was literally falling to pieces. It was an old Victorian mansion that had been taken
Mm.
over as a gig space. And I think initially the entire place was open. When I first started going there, you couldn't go upstairs. Upstairs was off limits because upstairs was unsafe. But downstairs was cool. And then bit by bit, they closed room by room as it became more and more unsafe. And now it's closed down entirely. And let me
Hmm.
tell you, that place, it looked like a killing floor map. It was one of those places. It was like this old mansion, Victorian mansion with graffiti all over it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, like that, you could tell that was run down. Do you know what I mean? You could tell that
Yeah.
building was beyond saving, and people were just destroying it with beats every single weekend. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
eventually they went, yeah, this building just can't take it, and it had to get knocked down. But this looks kind of safe, unless it's fire related. I don't know, but yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and because I guess the other thing is as well is obviously even in a fire safety related issue, it's all open air, so that immediately would reduce a risk. But I can only imagine that even though it's an open air venue, there's still, I can definitely say an evacuation risk is probably the highest there because so many people turn up there.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe they need to build more fire exits, and they're like, yeah, we can't. I don't know. I don't
But
know.
that's
It's so
that's the
weird.
other thing though, isn't it? Because like they obviously had the capital to do that entire refurb, which you saw is extremely premium.
Well, yeah, and then,
But how did they not get like their health and safety stuff funded? You know what I mean?
well, you'd be surprised, man. People just, yeah. Here's the budget for the speakers, but help and what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've been to some clubs where I go like, ah, yes, that's a tetanus shot right there. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't
Hmm.
always like work out the way you think it would, but yeah, it's weird. There's something else going on here. Something weird.
I mean,
Yeah,
to go from like we're refurbing and then maybe the refurbing's taken a while and we're struggling with the New York City officials to we can't open anymore and now it's we're gonna just try and demolish it because we can't do anything else to it. What are your initial thoughts on that? To
I mean,
to
you can
change the
make
decision so
money.
quickly.
Yeah, you could make money in other ways, even if you start flipping equipment. You know what I mean, and getting rid of like gear, but like audio equipment, audio gear. But I don't know, man. Like, even as a bar space, do you know what I mean? You don't have to do gigs to make money. You can literally just have that as a smoking area if you really want it to. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think that
Maybe that's the problem, right? Maybe that's the problem. It's
what
high risk.
yeah,
Who
it
knows?
might be that. What I wonder as well is that before they actually undertook all of this refurb work, did anyone actually like warn them to say, by the way, before you do this work, you need to consider some of these safety
Maybe,
concerns because otherwise
maybe.
you
But
won't you
then
otherwise you won't get a permit.
I honestly don't know what condition the building was in before they started the work. because it could have been run down as heck. You know what I mean? It could have been a really budget buy.
And could it be the case where they were banking on, let's just try and open and do the refurb and then sort the safety issues out later once we're making money from the shows?
Maybe.
That's also my theory.
Maybe they were so. Maybe it was like what almost happened to some degree to Universe, because Universe only opened because it had such a big backing behind it, right? But the fact, how many builders were hired to work on that place last minute? Can you imagine the amount of overtime being paid out for that? It would have been insane. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
like the amount of workers working on Universe to redo it was, it's very
And
significant.
if they ran into one problem that cost a month to figure it out, how much money would they have lost over that one problem? Look, you know what I mean? And that's what I think. You know what I mean? Universe can take it because they're a huge, it's huge amounts of money going through that. But yeah, maybe things didn't align, and something was delayed just one too many times, and then it's like a you know dominoes. You know what I mean? This gig's cancelled, that gig's cancelled, this gig's cancelled. You know?
But if you were if you say in this scenario you were part of like some of the senior people at Avant Gardner, say if you did have Brooklyn Mirage that was generating a lot of revenue for you, but there were safety concerns, but then you've also got this opportunity to potentially refurb and generate more revenue, would you take the gamble, which is what they may have done, or would you actually look back and think, try and keep it going for as long as possible, or try and remediate some of the safety issues, but then you might be in the what do they say, in the
Well,
red?
they
In the
have
red?
they have filed for bankruptcy, and I thought what they were probably going to do is close it, keep the other two open, and then fix it up over the course of a year. But no, they're just demolishing the entire thing. So I'm like,
Well,
damn.
to my knowledge, the report does not state that they're gonna knock down Great Hall and King's Hall,
Yeah,
but they are gonna knock down the Brooklyn Mirage section.
yeah. So there's something really wrong with that, I don't know. Who knows? Unless someone's paid a lot of money for a car park or something. you know.
Yeah, and
What would happen now? I can see this coming. They'll knock it down, and then a land will go up for sale again, and someone's going to build some flats there, and then the two clubs next to it, and they're going to close because there's flats there.
you're absolutely 100% spot on, because do you know what? It's so funny you should say that, because that is literally that's exactly what I was about to close on. I was about to say, in closing, what will probably happen is exactly how you just said it. Because the thing is, we're talking about East Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Yeah. Like, I am almost certain that the land there and that space, because you saw how big it was, it's got to be worth quite a bit to develop on it.
Definitely.
And as much as I would love to say, oh, I hope the New York City officials actually buy the land off them and then build, social housing, I'd be fine with that. I'd be like, do you know what? Like, yes, we may be losing a nightclub, but hey, if you're building social housing, I'm sure people of New York City really need that, right? But unfortunately, that's not how it works that much, really. So I imagine it is probably going to be sold to a private developer, and the private developer is going to do really fancy pants apartment blocks. And
you saw the view, right? The view's like worth it alone.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In closing, quite the news for Brooklyn Mirage. But I was actually going to say, if we were ever going to be in New York City to do any parties, I was actually going to suggest we go to Brooklyn Mirage. But of course, well, I mean, if there was safety concerns, it's probably a good thing that we never went anyway, right?
Well, I mean, they got two other venues, so you can check those out. But yeah, weird news, and so in depth and so multi-tangled. I'm like, whoa.
A lot to unpack.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and hopefully, that was a bit of interest for those listening as well, because of course, this news actually is still ongoing. It's as the post suggests, because it's obviously just part demolition that's been. Full demolition has been applied, but it looks like it's going to be partly demolished first. But that news will be ongoing, and then we will continue to cover that for the next episode.